After a team meeting, the decision remains unresolved because the conversation stayed focused on opinions rather than actions. Emails accumulate, proposals stall, and even good ideas fade when they are not presented in a way that others can accept. Much of modern work involves persuading, convincing, and influencing people to exchange time, attention, or resources. With information widely available, influence now depends less on access and more on trust, framing, and empathy. When you can ethically move others, projects advance faster, conflicts cool down, and relationships become easier to repair. When you cannot, the same issues return in new forms, and progress becomes a cycle of meetings without momentum. A manager seeks support for a change, a parent negotiates with a child, and a doctor encourages adherence to a plan. In each case, the goal is not to pressure, but to help someone see a better choice and agree to it. The next ideas will cover reading the room, staying resilient after refusal, sharpening what matters, and pitching with simple structure. This video is inspired by To Sell is Human by Daniel Pink, and we invite you to subscribe to Practice Humane Influence in Everyday Conversations. Non-sales selling involves moving others without a product, such as gaining buy-in for an idea or plan. People spend a significant portion of their work time in these exchanges, even if their job title doesn't involve sales. This reality changes what skills matter, as influence becomes part of teaching, hiring, healthcare, and leadership. It also means that the old stereotype of a pushy salesperson no longer captures how most persuasion works today. Buyers and audiences can now compare options, read reviews, and challenge weak claims in minutes. Because knowledge is shared, the seller must assume responsibility, explain value clearly, and accept scrutiny. In a meeting, one teammate frames a proposal as saving effort, while another frames it as risking quality. Progress happens when someone clarifies the real trade-off, checks assumptions, and proposes a test that everyone trusts. Seeing non-sales selling everywhere pushes you to treat each request as a small act of leadership. Start by stating the change you want, the reason it helps others, and the next step that proves it. Attunement is about aligning your actions and outlook with others and the situation. The process involves perspective taking, which shifts your focus from arguing your point to understanding theirs first. This is important because people resist feeling pushed, but they respond positively when they feel seen and respected. Even small improvements in your understanding of what others think can change how you frame choices and requests. One practical method is the E-test, where you ask what the other person is experiencing in the moment. Another is to reduce your sense of power, as feeling powerful can weaken perspective taking and increase overconfidence. In a conversation, summarize their constraints before presenting your idea, then invite correction and adjust your proposal. Subtle and respectful mimicry can help, as it signals similarity without forcing agreement. This approach keeps persuasion grounded, as you begin where they are and build a bridge toward change. Practice attunement by asking what they value, what they fear losing, and what evidence would change their mind. Buoyancy is the ability to stay afloat in an ocean of rejection and keep moving forward. Persuasion involves facing refusal, so maintaining emotional balance before, during, and after each attempt is crucial. Optimism helps by shaping how you explain setbacks, keeping your effort focused rather than turning it into self-blame. Those who interpret defeat as temporary and specific tend to persist longer and perform better at moving others. Before a difficult call or meeting, ask yourself questions that start with how or what instead of why. This interrogative self-talk nudges the mind towards solutions, as questions invite planning rather than rumination. During the interaction, keep the focus on the other person, listen for their concerns, and respond with calm specificity. Afterward, treat a no as valuable information, record what you learned, and prepare a better next approach. Buoyancy protects your ethics, as desperation can tempt shortcuts that damage trust and relationships. If rejection has been draining your motivation, subscribe to more habits that keep your influence steady and respectful. Clarity helps others view their situation in new ways, revealing what truly matters. The process shifts from answering questions to defining the right problem, as problem finding's more effective than problem solving. With abundant information, people often feel overwhelmed, needing help to filter and prioritize choices. Contrast is a simple tool that promotes clearer thinking by asking, compared to what? And compared with what cost. When you clarify the comparison set, vague claims of better or cheaper become specific and easier to evaluate. This improves decisions by allowing people to see real alternatives, not just the default option. A practical approach is to ask the listener to name the problem they want solved, then restate it in plain language. If their answer is vague, offer 2 or 3 possible problems and ask which one feels closest to reality. Clarity links to influence because when the real problem is clear, the next request feels reasonable instead of pushy. Build clarity by curating fewer options, using contrast questions, and ending with one concrete next step. A pitch is a concise message that sparks interest and guides the listener toward a decision without overwhelming them with details. Modern pitches come in various forms such as a single word, a question, a rhyme, a subject line, a Twitter post, and the Pixar style. These formats work because attention is scarce, and a brief frame helps people quickly understand what you offer. Another crucial skill is improvisation, which involves listening well, accepting offers, and building the next move together. Improvisation transforms the interaction by replacing argument with curiosity and ensuring the other person doesn't feel cornered. The goal is to serve, meaning the interaction should improve the other person's life and leave the world better. Making it personal means showing empathy for their situation, and making it purposeful means connecting the request to a larger reason. In practice, write a one-word label for your idea, then send a short question that invites the other side in. During discussion, respond with yes and, repeat their key point, and add one helpful option rather than more pressure. Finish by asking whether your proposal will genuinely help them, and revise until the answer is clearly yes. Moving others is not a special role for a few, it is the daily work of coordinating human beings. The goal is not manipulation, but helping people make choices with clear information and respect for their autonomy. Non-sales selling explains why influence shows up in meetings, classrooms, clinics, and families, not just storefronts. Attunement, buoyancy, and clarity form a practical set of skills for aligning, persisting, and making the real problem visible. With these skills, pitches become shorter, conversations more collaborative, and requests easier to evaluate fairly. Service keeps the whole process clean because the test is whether the other person benefits from saying yes. Choose one upcoming conversation and define the change you want, the comparison that matters, and the smallest credible next step. Then prepare with interrogative self-talk. Begin with the other side's experience, and end by checking whether service is real. Over time, these habits turn persuasion into a calmer craft that strengthens trust instead of draining it. If you want more tools for ethical influence at work and home, then subscribe for new lessons that stay practical.